Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you once again for joining us for Hashtag Sports presentation of the Buffalo Bills versus the Washington football team post game as the Buffalo Bills move to 2-1 on the season with a 43-21 victory over Washington, dropping them to 1-2. It was a good victory today, but before we go into the particulars of the post game, we have to give a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor, Mr. Rogers Homes. Sean Rogers, who's the top 1% realtor in Arizona. So if you're looking at relocating to the Valley of the Sun, please make sure that you go visit Sean. His link and his brochure is going to be in the description of this video, as well as MyBookie.ag. If you go over to MyBookie.ag and you use the promo code HTS, you can get they will double your first deposit up to $1,000. So make sure you check them out. That will also be in the description of the video, as well as the new hashtag merch, which Paul is rocking right now. If you want the hashtag sports merch, what drives you t-shirts, please it'll be in the description of the video as well. And as you guys know all the time, I don't even need to say this. You can you can have all of our episodes on iTunes and Spotify if you don't feel like looking at our faces that were made for radio. But the face of the franchise today, Josh Allen, went off, Paul. A lot of storylines coming into today and some vastly different storylines going into Monday, I'm going to think. So initial thoughts on the game from you, Paul. I'm very curious to hear what you got to say.
So you didn't see the description that I put on the YouTube chat, did you? On the YouTube video?
I glanced at it briefly.
So it said Buffalo was the captain of StarShip AssWhooping, because that's effectively what this was. The score tells a little bit of a different tale, but I mean the reality is Buffalo just whooped their ass. It wasn't a game. It got close there for a little bit, but back-to-back possessions will do that, I guess.
I mean, I wasn't too worried about that. It was just the series of unfortunate events.
Right.
That's the way I could couch it.
That's right. Oh, I do want to share. So I have with me. Do you see this? Do you see what this is?
This is the Rick Rarick's honey, isn't it?
That's right, from M25 Farm. So I'm looking at using this in a recipe tomorrow. Actually, I have the week off.
Cook.
I took the week off. I'll pretend to cook for a little bit, bro. It's Bills Victory Monday. Let's go. Bills Victory Monday.
You know what, Paul? So you're going to be the positive going force in this live, and I'm going to be the Debbie Downer, I guess. So because, I mean, and I know a lot of people are going to be going like, oh, how are you going to be Debbie Downer? They won 43-21. All this other things were going on. I know there were storylines, like I said, coming into today's game. Is Josh Allen regressing to 2019 Josh? It's going to be the Riverboat Ron versus McDermott. All this other stuff that was intertwined. But I learned a long time ago when I was playing the quarterback position, Paul, you don't get too high, you don't get too low. You and I were both like, settle down. Josh is going to be okay. Like, everyone was losing their minds the first 2 weeks of the year. You're like, well, he didn't perform very well against Pittsburgh. And then they're like, well, they won 35-0, but he had under 200 yards passing against Miami. Now he just explodes. So I'm going to take that same mantra going into week 4. I wasn't too low on him after the first 2 games of the year. And I'm not going to get too high on this performance today. Beating a Washington team whose only victory is against the Giants by 1 point, who the Giants lost to Atlanta today. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna temper my expectations, but here's the thing. He did what he was supposed to do against a bad team then. You know what I mean? We were worried about that front 4. I loved what the offensive line was able to do. Josh was bang, bang, boom, left and right. But I'm gonna take this win, but I'm not gonna get too high on it. I don't want to get too high on it.
Yeah. Fun fact of the day. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Buffalo had 29 first downs.
Are you serious today? Wow.
29 first downs. Only one of which from penalty. 29 first downs is just a straight, you just whooped there. Like I keep going back to it. It was just a grade A ass whooping. That's it. 20 of them were passing. So again, very skewed number. Mm-hmm. But you look at, what this offense was really doing. It was so fascinating to watch Josh, who was so hesitant last week and the week prior, throwing off his back foot, making reads really late. We've talked about it before. Josh has a tendency to wait for receivers to get open before he knifes it in. And you saw none of that today, right? That was gone. He was stepping forward. Everything was quick and decisive. He's letting go of the ball before the receivers, turned into the route. Like, everything was on time. And I think it was John Marlowe actually who brought this up in the comments section earlier this week. I might not be right, but I think it was John who made a reference to, it's really hard to get chemistry when you have so many different options, right? I think that's actually a really fair point. When you have this many weapons and this many mouths to feed, it does have to be hard to get on page with all of them, right? Because you got to get Moss in there. You got to get Singletary in there. You've got a relationship with Diggs, but you also have a relationship with Beasley. Now you have to feed Sanders. Knox has been eating. Do you though, Paul? I think so.
I mean, do you? Paul, you were a little spicy on Twitter today, so I want to get spicy, Paul, out on this live feed tonight. Yeah. But you have said multiple times on previous episodes and previous lives, especially the morning coffee. You guys don't, if you're not checking out the morning coffee with Paul on Thursdays, and starting this week, you're going to have the morning coffee with me on Saturdays. So make sure that you come and you check those out. With that all intertwined, you've said it's the same pieces though, except for Sanders. You got the same pieces in the same spots. Like, why aren't you should know that by now? And you know who should know that is your boy up in the box eating Chex Mix. I'm just saying.
Who was the Sasquatch sitting next to him in the box? They fanned him in the box, and all I saw was flow in a beard that came down to here. I was like, what?
Was that Brett Kiesel?
Let's sure that was like Brett Kiesel now that you mention it.
Former Steeler defensive lineman Brett Kiesel. Yeah,
it did look like Brett Kiesel, quite a bit like Brett Kiesel now that you mentioned it. Yeah.
Just to give you guys a little bit of a point of reference, obviously everyone was going off on Josh right before the game and after the first 2 weeks. He is currently he's thrown for 807 yards in 3 games, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, and raised his completion percentage to 62%, which honestly could have been higher if they would have called a few of those defensive pass interference near the end of when the Buffalo Bills were driving. But the one thing that I took away from today, other than the fact that, hold on, I gotta get my statistics. Paul's got them all digitized. I write them down. Coming into today,
so old.
I know, aren't I? Old. I'm so the victory hats. I'm wearing. You can't get me with the victory hat. Coming into today, the Washington defense was 24th in total yards, 24th against the pass, 23rd against the rush, and 30th in third down percentage. So Buffalo Bills took advantage of all 3 of those things, which I enjoyed. But the thing that I really enjoyed was Buffalo was able to generate points off of turnovers today. And that really made me feel a lot better than having the 5 turnovers in the first half, 3 turnovers and 2 turnovers on down against Miami in the first half last week, and you only up 14-0. Now, do you want to talk about the series of unfortunate events? Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, all right, let's peel back the curtain. Here's the 4th wall, everybody, with #Nation. Hey, and if you didn't hit that like button yet, I'm going to disown you. But the point is, Paul text messages me during the game because Paul has a vested interest in Antonio Gibson.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure do.
And if you would have seen our way too early schedule prediction that we had, Paul said he was already terrified of that man. And he's terrified of McLaurin. The only 2 bright spots, with the exception of Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas, he had his fumble, but he caught a touchdown later in the game. But just as he sent me that text message, he goes for 73 yards on a screen, and nobody could catch him.
Nope.
That was sick.
Yeah, that was good. But Washington does not know how to use Antonio Gibson, right? Like, you need to get him in space. You need to go back to Arizona 2017 or 2016, and you need to just pull up what they did with David Johnson, what Bruce Arians did with David Johnson. You do that with Antonio Gibson, and he's going to destroy everybody in front of him. But they don't use him like that. And it's a shame, right? It's just a shame because you saw how dangerous he was. Like, is a dangerous weapon, man. If you get him just a little bit of space, he's gone. But, I mean, Buffalo was able to bottle him up all day long because as a physical running back, not as dangerous as a receiving back out of the backfield. You get him some space, and he's dangerous.
He reminds me, I mean, that the script that, Bills won. So the description you just gave of Antonio Gibson reminds me a lot of a young David Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So he's a guy that can kill you on the perimeter. I mean, Arians knew how to use David Johnson, and just Washington hasn't figured it out yet on how to use Gibson. But McLaurin, the thing that worried me was McLaurin
entree
White. Yeah, White covering McLaurin all day. Yeah. I worried about that, and a couple times he did get burned. He definitely got burned a few times. But I wanted to go to Sonny Lamont. Thank you for your donation. I came from Alaska to watch this game. Best experience I ever had. Highmark was loud and proud. Hey, let's go Buffalo.
Like that.
I love it. Yes. Thank you I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you had some solid wings.
Good game to come in for, man.
Oh my God,
game to come in for.
Paul, I was one of those, and I know you were messaging Jessica Tennis in the chat. I was one of those that was worried about the front four. I was terrified of that Washington front four.
Yeah.
But we both knew that they didn't have anything behind it. You had Landon Collins, who his middle name's Toast. Like, Landon Collins cannot cover anybody.
No.
He really can't.
No.
Does this change your perspective of this team going into week 4?
Oh, man. What place is Washington in their division?
I think they're in last.
What did they win the division with for a record last year?
7-9.
Okay. All right.
Did their quarterback's first start come in a playoff game?
But I mean, that's where you are here, right? Look down the road. A Trek reviewer actually mentioned this. He goes, he mentioned in the comment section, look down the road here, right? These are the games you're supposed to pound the teams into dust.
Yes.
Right. And this is a good front four in Washington, but you could see where they put all their resources and where they haven't. Right.
Yes. It's in the front seven.
Yeah.
The front seven is nasty.
It is nasty. Right. Buffalo was still able to get Moss to the edge, which I was so excited to see, man. Like, this Buffalo team has, you and I talked about it on the phone very, very briefly before the game. And Breida was inactive, and that was like, well, how are they going to get to the edge? Like, Moss and Singletary can't get to the edge. But there was Zach Moss today clearing the edge. And that tells you that this offensive line is probably in better shape than it might look like the first 2 games, right? Because you can't get to the edge if you're getting blown up, and these defensive ends should have been able to control the edge in the run game. And they couldn't, right? Dawkins and Darrell Williams had that on lock. I mean, what more could you ask for?
No,
right?
Yeah, true. And then you start talking about Dawkins. Obviously, he lost a little bit of weight, and Feliciano lost a little bit of weight. So maybe that was the goal going into this year, is that we got to try to assist our running backs in getting to the edge, and maybe we might give up a few things inside. Mm-hmm. But Allen's an athlete back there. We're not going to worry about it. We're not going to pound our head against the wall,
right,
trying to run up the middle when all these other teams are just trying to find the edge, and they spread everybody out. Therefore, you're able to bring everybody back in. Truck reviewer goes, someone needs to tell Mario it's not negative 20 degrees outside. LOL. True story, but every time the Bills won, I wore this stupid hat last year, and it's one of those things that's become a thing now.
We're nothing if not superstitious, right? We're nothing if not just a little superstitious.
A little stitious.
Yeah, just a little stitious. Jessica Tennis mentioned Rivera has only had 3 winning seasons. We talked about this back when Rivera was still the head coach of
the roller coaster of Carolina.
The roller coaster. They'd win 15 games, and then they'd go down into a losing season. They come back up, and then they go down into a losing season. And it was concerning because Bean had just come over at that time. This was a couple of years ago now. We cut that episode. Very true, right? So it was a little bit of concern when Bean came, because it's like, okay, is his philosophy just to gun it, go forward in 1 year? Is it built for 1 year and then it falls apart? Because that's the way that it looked like.
He saw it.
Yeah,
he definitely saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about that.
Nautica, thank you for the donation. Washington went 7-9 and won their division. They are not that great. I agree with you. This is why while I'm very happy that the Buffalo Bills won this game, it wasn't a Notre Dame victory. Like, they didn't beat Washington 27-24.
No.
They put their mark on this game. You gave up a garbage touchdown late. A couple fun stats that I tweeted out during the game as well. Buffalo Bills, in the 3rd game of the season, gave up their first 200-yard passer.
Oh, that's interesting.
You heard that right. Their first 200-yard passer. It's the first one that they've given up. I think in that touchdown by Gibson was the first touchdown given up in 5 quarters of the first half as well.
Yeah, sure was. Yeah.
And the other thing is this: Buffalo Bills have given up in 3 games have given up a total of 758 yards.
Woo!
In 3 games total. That's 252, 216, and 290 today. They give up. So they still haven't given up 300 total yards to any offense this season. Yeah. Much of that you can attribute to, I mean, for the first game versus Pittsburgh, I don't think they had any turnovers. I have to check that. But the last 2 games, they had 3 turnovers, not counting turnovers on downs, is what I'm saying, is they had 3 turnovers that they forced. Paul, we covered a Bills team that had 15 turnovers in the first 5 weeks one time.
Sure did.
And they were 4-1.
Yep.
This is not something that we could rely on for this team.
No.
So and another thing I can't rely on, and we're going to talk about this as well, that first touchdown to Sanders, that's not drawn up in the book.
No.
That's what Allen provides you as a quarterback when things don't work out, because that play was dead in the water.
Right.
He made something happen, and I know you tweeted it out, but tell me your take on the brilliance of Emmanuel Sanders on that play. Do you remember what you told me or no? Do I got to remember?
We do this often. We do this often. So I know that there's something that I want to do, probably a separate video and write an article about regarding Emmanuel Sanders. So saving that point, Mark, right?
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
The savvy that he brings, and just the like Bees was talking about it afterwards in the press conference, and he said he is the hardest working player at practice. Like, he gets everything he deserves. He is the hardest working player at practice. It's great to watch him practice. And, you can't, look where Emmanuel Sanders has been, right? He's worked with the greatest quarterbacks of this era. And there's a reason for that, right? It's that never say die atmosphere. If he is running, he's trying to get open, right? If it's a run play, he's blocking until that whistle blows, right? He doesn't hold up. He gives it 110. He goes 100 miles an hour all the time. And that savvy it can't be replaced, right? It can't be replaced. If you're asking, let me put it to you this way, right? A lot of people question why Emmanuel Sanders was signed and said, well, this is going to take snaps away from Gabe Davis. Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. It's going to take snaps away from Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis doesn't make that route adjustment on that first touchdown. He doesn't do it.
I don't think he does. But I think it's a topic for discussion, because I think near the end of last year, he was starting to do some route adjustments. But this is why there's a reason they went out and got him.
Right.
It wasn't a direct, I don't think it was there's not a direct correlation between Brown leaving and him coming in. I think they wanted a different element to this offense because they knew they weren't going to shock people.
Yeah.
Sanders runs, even at his age, he runs routes underneath better than John Brown did.
Well, let me ask you this, Mark. So you go ahead and you get Sanders, and now you're looking at a 3-wide set of Diggs, Beasley, and Sanders. Okay.
Yes.
You still have Knox, who is a receiving threat. And what the Bills would do before, in order to run 4-wide sets, Knox was always out wide. Knox was always out wide.
Mm-hmm.
Is Knox more effective when he gets to come out of the line formations in the wash? Does that make him more effective? Is that why he's been so effective? Right? Because last year you kind of had to depend on Dawson Knox as a receiver. Now he's going to get open if he can get open. Right? He's not running those out wide routes. Sanders is doing the heavy work there, opening things for Dawson Knox. Right? Is it easier to get open for Knox at this point in his career coming off the line as opposed to being out wide?
No, I'm going to say that I know where you're going with it as far as it. I mean, the more that this kid plays in the offense, the more he's going to get acclimated to what he's going to be responsible to do. And I understand that.
Yeah.
However, I think, and I haven't done any, I don't know this off the top of my head, but if you look at the drops that he's had versus the catches that he's had, does he really drop anything when he's on the outside and he's got time to adjust to the ball or do anything like that. It's always those heaters that come inside. When he's doing a crossing route around the middle of the field, he's 10 yards away from Josh. I don't know the exact metric. I don't know. I'm just trying to go from memory now. A lot of those passes that he drops are those heaters that come in from Allen. If you give him a chance, because there's two things that happen now. If he's on the outside, number one, it will tip the coverage of the play.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he goes out there and you split Dawson Knox out wide and you put a linebacker on him, as a defense, you're shortchanging yourself. Because I believe that Dawson Knox is better than most of the linebackers in the NFL. I'm not going to say all. I'm going to say most. Mm-hmm. Because you look at who he goes up against in practice. Like, I know people are going to say ones don't go against ones in practice. But I'm sure he's ran a few routes on Edmonds and Milano in practice. Okay? That being said, I think if you have him out there, number one, it tips the coverage of what it is. If he's got a linebacker on him, you know it's man. If it's a corner, you know it's zone. And then that helps everything else. But the other thing is it gives him time to react to the ball. When he's split wide and he's got a pass coming his way, we've seen him make some amazing catches out on the edge. So I like that idea. I like that element because what did the Bills used to do in that situation? They either put Singletary or Moss or Yeldon out there, and they don't even throw to him. They're like decoys. You know what I mean? Yeah. At least have a receiving threat that you're going to use, let me say. A threat you're going to use than nobody out there at all.
Exactly. And that was the point that I was trying to get to, Mark, was that, when you look at the 4 wide set and it's, I remember watching Frank Gore on the outside. You're like, what the? Okay. All right. Let's see if it's zone coverage. All right. Steve Lynn asks, are you guys concerned about some of the throws Allen missed, especially the touch throws? I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily concerned about that. With Allen, it's always footwork, right? Because he just tries to fire so quick. And it's really hard to teach a power pitcher a changeup, man. I've seen a lot of great pitchers that just don't have a changeup. It's if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But oftentimes it's lower body mechanics with him, right? Because he just tries to fire too quick and he just shoots it with his arm and it goes all over the place. So I'm not concerned about it. What are you laughing about?
I'm so done with you. You literally just said in consecutive statements, and you want me to keep a straight face. He just goes too quick and he shoots it all over the place.
Okay. All right.
You literally just said that.
All right.
I'm not even kidding.
PG show, my friend. PG show.
I keep having to tell you that. No, but the point is, the point that you're making is very valid. Is the fact that he is a fastball pitcher. Yeah. And it's very tough for him to try to, he has thrown some touch passes, but I have not seen anybody complete 100% of their passes in a game yet in the NFL. So I'm not going to hold Allen to that. Are there some plays that he should make? Yes. Are they really at pivotal moments? Well, the Sanders one in the Pittsburgh game, I could see yes. That concerned me a little bit. But the guy was all jacked up on Mountain Dew, man. I mean, it was the first home game with people in the stands.
He's going to come out like a spider monkey.
I'm not putting on the people. I'm saying there's a reason why Mike Holmgren used to have one play at the beginning of the game for Brett Favre for him to fire it in the 7th row. Mm-hmm. Just to get that surge out of him. I mean, if the thing for Allen is to run a quarterback keeper play or something to get in the game, because, I had a linebacker mentality as a quarterback. Like, I had to run the ball and get hit before I thought I was actually in the game. Mm-hmm. So then I could calm down. I could settle myself down and then call the offense. But if that was the case in week 1, I can understand it. But
you see, I understand where you're going with Mar on that, because when I was on the mound, I used to hit the first batter that I saw just to get that out of the way. So, so I understand that is 100% true. I would throw it at them or behind them. 100% accurate. I didn't like pitching from the windup anyway. So James FX90 says, yo, did you see Dable lost his grandmother this past week? So I guess Josh Allen mentioned this in his postgame press conference. Josh had mentioned that Dable's grandmother actually raised Brian Dable. Ooh. So this was a really big thing for his family. He mentioned that, Dable had to like really focus. The team was there for him, but Josh even had mentioned last year when Josh lost his grandmother that it's something that's really hard to focus on, right? It doesn't matter what people say. You don't really understand it until you're in that space. Do you think that this team today was motivated by that? Did it, because things felt different, right? In NFL locker rooms, do things like that, do events like that when you play for somebody? Do you think that matters? I'm asking. I don't know. I guess I hadn't really thought about it. Like when it's for the player, I understand like when Josh lost his grandmother, he came out and was lights out the next game, right? Mm-hmm. This team looked like it was on a different level today.
Yeah. You know what? Now, do you want me to say that do you want me to point to other factors that could have affected it? Or do you think that because that does play a big role. There's a lot of things that go on. You know me, Paul, I'm a big America's Game, a football life. I'm a big documentary guy. And a lot of the things that they talk about with those championship teams is that there was something that they always gravitate toward. There's always a theme or a mantra or something going on that year that galvanizes the team. Death happens to be a big one with a lot of players, So I don't know if it galvanized the entire team. I wasn't in the locker room, but I know that it does galvanize teams. I know that those acts happen to galvanize teams. I understand that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That could have been a factor. Did they give him the day off? Like, was he just sitting up there chilling and Allen called all the plays?
No.
Alan
confirmed that Dave
No. I was just
very much in control.
I was just saying the fact of, a lot of people. There are some people that take that, and it is very distracting. Like Alan said, it could have been something. He's a little younger than Dable. Dable could have used that as his play calling and being in the field and doing his routine was kind of therapeutic for him. That could have been one of the things where Dable was able to focus even more because of what had happened. Like I don't know. I never talked to the guy. I don't know what's going on with him. Mm-hmm. But I know, one, that has been a galvanizing force for some teams, and two, it could be therapeutic for him to get back into his routine,
maybe
to not focus on that part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think today was a fine distraction, right? Like Today was a great distraction. You can really feel positive about the direction things are going in after today. I do want to point out that Allen in his press conference did mention that the difference between this game and some of the previous games where they checked out of some bad situations. I think that's a quote. Is we saw what they were doing and we checked out of some bad situations. And my face just lit up when I heard that, right? Like that is just gold to me. And that's something that I think flows a little bit under the radar as far as a quote goes, but that means you're like, everybody's firing on all cylinders, right? When you can check out of something, that's something that I think we've been critical of with Allen in this offensive line, primarily the first two games. And, Josh didn't get sacked today. Josh has like 96 sacks in his career. Getting sacked is not uncommon. Like it's
just don't compare him to Lamar Jackson. That's all.
Oh, don't. No. I do not want to talk about Lamar Jackson.
Here's my thing. I don't want to talk about him either, but I mean, we can get into that tonight because we need to let the nation know. We got 97 people in here. We got to let them know about what happened if they don't know.
Oh yeah. If you guys haven't seen the comments section on Mario's Lamar versus Allen video, let me put it this way. The comments section are what you would expect when 73% of the people that saw that video used the word Lamar Jackson to find it. So the comment section is.
I was torched, and none of y'all came to my defense. It was crazy. No, it was. I was just trying to purely do a statistical analysis of the first 16 games versus the last 16 games of Allen versus Jackson, and I made a mistake by saying that Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator that started there. But he was brought in. He was there. He wasn't the OC yet.
He was the assistant head coach.
And I got torched for that point alone. But I was like, I don't know. There was many loopholes. But
Mar, I do want to.
Here's what I wanted to say about Peyton Manning. You remember when Peyton Manning was, he was in his prime in Indy, and you were talking about he takes forever to snap the ball. Well, in one of the documentaries that I saw, they were talking about it quite a bit. They said, listen, Peyton's not trying to get into the perfect play. He's just trying to get out of a bad one.
Right.
And that was the mantra going on. So by hearing that, I love that his mind's there. Like, okay, I just need to get out of this bad play. Now, is the play I'm calling, like, is it? It's not as bad as what we initially called. I need to get out of a bad play. But what I want to know, Paul, how many of those did he call?
He said a few. We'll just go. We'll say a few. Let's see. Egriff says, just read that Dable's family is asking fans to donate to St. Jude's in honor of his grandmother that passed away on Wednesday. St. Jude's is a phenomenal organization. Phenomenal organization. I'm sure it's thank you, Egriff, for sharing that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of 716 donations, right? That's what we do around here, is you donate $7.16. That's probably the thing. So I'd imagine that's probably a pretty popular one. But St. Jude's is an incredible organization, and I'm sure they're going to raise a lot of money.
No question.
A lot of money.
Yeah, they will. They definitely will. Paul, Stephen Gorney says, anyone else see Cody Ford get beat on the first 2 snaps? I think we're in for a long
If you saw our Twitter feed, you knew that. Because I 100% put a gif of the rooster, Foghorn Leghorn. That's spanking spanking another cartoon character, talking about how Daron Payne was just absolutely destroying Cody Ford.
Oh my God! They could have called.
They got it together, but it's Mark. You'll agree with me, right? The offensive line can look pretty good when the ball's coming out in 0.18 seconds, right? Like Josh was just in out. Like, you tire out a defensive line every time you do that. And I love the hurry up today. I love the hurry up.
I loved it too, because you were, even though that's a young line, the personnel groupings that you need to match up with, I think were key. Because you knew you're going to have an advantage in the secondary. There's nobody on that Washington secondary that can cover Diggs. So I like that the Buffalo Bills, in my view, were using that to their advantage. And you were taking Sanders, you were taking Diggs. A couple of those plays that they went deep for him didn't really work out, but you loosen the coverage when you do that. Therefore, it results in Beasley having 11 catches for 98 yards. So you're able to move the chains. And there's nothing more frustrating than on a third down, when you think you got the team off the field, that they get a first down.
Right.
And the most important thing too is, except for that first drive, they were manageable third downs. That's what I loved about it. It wasn't 3rd and 10. It wasn't 3rd and 12 where you're behind the sticks and you're behind schedule. 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. The whole playbook is open to you. Doesn't matter what you call. Especially against a team that's 30th coming into the game and third down conversion. Right.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I think, one thing that I thought was kind of what's a good way to say this? One thing that I thought was kind of interesting was, as they had a no huddle drive going, and as they were moving down the field, Diggs got an offsides, right? So he was super pissed. Why was he so mad about being offsides? Right? They're in a hurry up. These things happen, right? Communication is tough, right? Because you don't want everybody to know the snap count, right? So you're coding that out to everyone.
Yes.
But why was Diggs so upset? There's a fundamental reason why. Why was Diggs so upset in a hurry up to get an offsides penalty?
Why was he upset that there was an offsides penalty?
Why was he upset that he jumped? Yeah.
It's probably going to him.
Well,
that's why I was
maybe.
Mad.
Yeah, maybe.
That's why we're excited.
That's a great point. No, Garno Freck is right. It's pace, right? And the whole point of hurry up is to not allow substitutions. The offside penalty completely negates the fact that you just ran 4 snaps in hurry up, right? Yes. Like, it completely negates the pace that you just built. And to get them on the wide receiver, we saw that a couple times today, right? We saw Diggs jumped, Sanders jumped early in the game. Like, that's strange to me to see wide receivers jump. Do you think there's anything there? Is that crowd noise? Like, is there anything there? Because it's just weird to see receivers jump.
It is weird. It's just a communication issue, I think initially. I don't know if there's any deeper meaning to it. I don't think the that I don't think there's any really deeper meaning. It was probably overexcitement, but he's a pro. Like, I don't understand. Maybe it was just, maybe he didn't know that Allen said something that he tried to get everyone to jump off sides. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I did want to say, as we're halfway through the stream right now, we got 100 people in here. I just wanted to tell you guys that what you could find in the description of this video is our sponsors, Mr. Rogers Homes and MyBookie.ag. Mr. Rogers Homes, Sean Rogers, the top 1%er realtor in Arizona. Make sure you check out his brochure in the description, as well as MyBookie.ag. If you use code HTS, your first deposit up to $1,000 will be doubled, as well as we're on iTunes and Spotify, so you can check this out. If you don't want to go on YouTube, you can check it out on iTunes and Spotify, as well as our merch. Paul's wearing our merch right now. We got our #sports What Drives You t-shirts in our store, so make sure you go check those out. Support the page.
Mario ordered me an extra large because apparently he thinks I'm homeless and I can live in this when I'm not wearing it.
Well, Paul, you told me so many times you wanted a onesie. And I wasn't going to get you a onesie, but I was going to get you something that would cover your banana hammock that you wear at night to bed.
Yeah.
So
it
goes down to about his hamstrings, guys.
Nothing like shirt seams that hitch in the elbows the whole time.
Did you want a schmedium so I could show off your genetic perfection physique?
That's it. That's it. Garno Freck says, could be worse, Paul. He could order it too small. I weigh 150 pounds. There is no adult size that is too small. It's just, there isn't.
Paul could shop for all the clothes I would want. Like, I'm a freaking redwood. Like, every freaking clothes I want, I can't get. Garn with shoulder pads. That's funny. All right, Paul.
I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead. No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
I'm not. I was just going to transition over to the defensive side of the ball. That's all.
I think that's a great idea because that's exactly what I was going to do.
All right. Okay. All right. Now, Groot getting the start today. Was that he earned it, or was that, hey, there haven't been two teams that started a front defensive line with all first round picks since 1960 something.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think? No, maybe not specifically of Group, but what do you think of the defense's performance today?
First off, I just want to mention on the hit by Poyer that sent Heineke into space along the right sideline. And I think that was the first half. It was just really impressive to watch a rookie defensive end not give up the edge. Right? Like, so often you see rookie defensive ends give up the edge on a QB rollout, and the QB gets outside contain and it's off to the races. It was just so nice to see Groot fight and push Heineke to the sideline, right? And then Poyer knocked him into space. And that wasn't the only one. Milano folded him like a lawn chair along the opposite sideline later in the game. I think it was the third or fourth quarter.
That was awesome. Garno Freck, yeet. That's amazing.
Josh says, I kind of feel bad for Davis Mills.
Oh my God, right? I mean, guys, and he's referring to that the Buffalo Bills will be playing the Houston Texans next week. And then the Bills have the Chiefs and the Titans before the bye, but those are both, this is tough. They're both, I'm going to go back to the defense in a second. I just want to mention this. They're both away, and they're both primetime games, 8:20 and 8:15.
Kansas City dropped today again.
I understand that, but it's one of those things where, Paul, you have siblings, may not win every game, but if you know you can beat up your sibling, that's somebody that you could just beat the crap out of, because they've done it. They've beaten Buffalo and they know how to beat Buffalo. So that's one of those things. Do they look beatable? Absolutely look beatable. If this defense played in the AFC Championship game, the Buffalo Bills would have played the Bucs.
Right.
I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
But it still goes back to one of those things that we were worried about when we talked about if this team does have any weakness, it's overall team speed on defense. The front four has rectified and or covered the back end on that point. Okay. Wallace, White, Hyde, and Poyer are not burners. And that's not a knock to those guys. They're just not burners. So if you have burners, then it's all about strategy. You know what I mean? That's what you got to over strategize against a team like Kansas City, because until somebody knocks them off the perch, they're still on the perch for the AFC. I'm saying.
Well,
You know what I mean?
it's their championship until it's not. That's really the way you look at it. Like the Bills are the
Trap
AFC
game.
champs
You did
until they're
not.
not. What?
You said trap game in the.
I did.
Well,
no, talking
shut
about Houston.
Your mouth.
I'm looking at Houston, and Buffalo Mafia News says, "Geez, the guys think Allen will play with a chip on his shoulder next week because it's the Texans." And I was like, "Trap game," because you got KC right afterwards. Trap game, right? I'm kidding, obviously. I look at the Houston Texans roster right now, much like I look like the Cleveland Indians roster in the movie Major League, right? Where they're trying to lose just so horrifically that they can move the team. And that's the way the Houston Texans roster looks like to me. Now, Kansas City on the opposite side of that, I think shows you why Buffalo is always looking for tackles, right? Like Buffalo is constantly looking at those premium positions in the draft and in free agency. They're just always looking for tackles. That's it. Do you play tackle? Are you terrible? That doesn't matter. We got Bobby Hart. So have you played tackle before? Then you can be on our team. Because Kansas City that offensive line is just bad. That offensive line's bad. That's why they're losing games right now.
They tried to get Thuney though. They really pushed to get through. They really have their offensive line from last year and this year is like completely different, except for one guy, I think.
Of course, Apex puts in Bobby Hart with fire. I forgot to send. I totally forgot. I'm going to mail Apex from Tailgate Talk, because Apex runs our Tailgate Talk Friday at 7:30. I am sending him a picture of Bobby Hart in a heart frame. So I have to send that. He's going to put it on his mantle behind him, so that every Tailgate Talk I can look and see his true love for Bobby Hart on full
Apex.
display.
You have no idea what you've done. This guy is the king of prank gifts.
Oh, just wait till you see your Christmas present, Mark. It's
great.
It's
you know what? I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not, because I know how you roll, Paul. Yeah. I know how you roll. I give. Let's put it this way: hanging on his chair right now is a Mariano Rivera Yankees jersey that I gave him, an official one. I bought him one Christmas or his birthday or whatever. You know what he gets me in return? Bobby Boucher. He should, but so that's the kind of thing that you could expect from him. I slur my words once in a conversation. He gives me a Bobby Boucher jersey. It's crazy. No, it's okay. So we're talking about this the overall defense. There was an interception that Heineke threw in the first half that was picked off by Poyer. And Poyer, it was so cute. He tried running away from McLaurin. He wasn't going to get away. You're not running away. McLaurin just hawked him. It was crazy. I was like, is this a pick six? Oh, wait. No, that's McLaurin behind him. Yeah. The king of wishful thinking. Someone call it Marlowe. All right. So anyway, so he picked it up. And I thought to myself, that was not a Leslie Frazier interception, turnover, and pressure. That was all Sean McDermott.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you brought that up, because you texted that to me, and you were absolutely right. It's a 4-man pressure, just collapse the pocket, because it's Tyler Heineke. Like, how much work do you really got to do?
Well, the thing is this, and here's where I have to make my differences known of what was going on. Because someone had said, are you worried about them not generating pressure and getting sacks? And I said, well, that's never been the mantra of McDermott defense, in my opinion. He wants 4 guys to get there and collapse the pocket so that everything gets small for the quarterback and he rushes a throw, or he gets off of his spot, or he does something. So you got 7 people in coverage that can make a turnover. That's what he wants. Now, would it be nice to have a Lawrence Taylor back there to try to create turnovers on his own?
Sure.
Yes, it would. But that's the kind of, he wants to collapse that pocket and keep everything about that quarterback in its face, so that I got to remember that next time I go out there. Oh crap, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to force this ball. I don't want to do this and that. I guarantee you, Heineke thought about that throw that Poyer picked off the next series when he went out there.
All game.
Okay.
All game.
I knew it was next series. He's like, they didn't blitz me. We had 5 guys on 4, and I was getting pressured. Like, what'd you want me to do? I rushed the throw. What do you want me to do?
There were some ill-advised throws by Hunt.
Oh, yes.
I don't think he knew that his arm isn't very good. I don't really think he understood that. One hell of an athlete. Like it is actually fun to watch him in the pocket escape. It's fun, but he just doesn't, he just doesn't see it yet. Right. Like
no.
This is what happens when you get a guy out there with not a lot of starts and the game's a little bit quicker. Right. I say a little bit facetiously, right? The game is a lot quicker. And, those windows close. If you see a window, you've already missed it. Right. Like oftentimes in the NFL, if you see the window at the quarterback position and you're not even starting to throw the football yet, don't bother. A window's going to be gone by the time you get there.
Yeah. In college, you will, it's wide open. You'll see a guy wide, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, I think Bruce Arians told that to Peyton Manning. This is not a Peyton Manning stream, but Bruce Arians said to Peyton Manning, he said, "Why didn't you throw it?" He goes, "Well, the guy was only open by this much." And then Arians goes, "Oh, by the way, that's open in the NFL."
Mm-hmm. Bit of Vega says the Pats lost, the Dolphins are losing, and the Jets are laying an egg. Looks like the Bills may have an early stranglehold on the division. And Josh asks Zach Moss at RB1. So I'm going to bring up something very quickly. Devin Singletary was almost outrushed by Mitch Trubisky today. So, with that being said, Devin, the first two games looked like the guy, right?
Yes.
Zach got to the edge, made a difference. Zach really looked good today. This is a true committee, though, right?
You just said it, though.
What?
He got to the edge.
Yeah.
A lot of those plays for Singletary were called between the 0 and 2 gaps.
Sure were. Yep.
What happens if you call that for Singletary? Is what I'm wondering. But this is the thing that we went back quite a bit, Paul, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this many times. If they're not in the EP system, these two backs would be much more important to the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, why they are so similar in skill sets. Like you could say this guy does a little bit better than the other one. Maybe Moss runs outside the tackles a little bit better. Maybe Singletary runs inside the tackles a little bit better. You could say people can have arguments about that all day. But the fact is you do not have to change your offense philosophy when either one of those guys are in the game.
Right.
That's the key why they have both of these guys on rookie deals at a devalued position. Mm-hmm. That's the key. Like these two guys, okay, now we have two running backs. We're not going to burn one guy out by the time it gets to December. Number one. Number two, they both have similar skill sets that we don't have to change our offense for when they come in the game.
Right.
Could Singletary have done what Moss did today? I believe so. I believe he could have. Like, he has the ability to. He just didn't have the opportunity to.
Right.
So
I think probably the one dynamic that we haven't talked about yet, Josh, 4 for 9 yards today. When was the last time you saw Josh Allen only run 4 times in a game?
When he was playing Madden against Dawson Knox the other day, I think. Because Dawson proved it. He said, but you can't beat me running under 10 yards.
Is that a product of the fact that Josh had time, right? And the offense just didn't dictate him having to run? There are designed plays for him to run. So I think that's really a majority of those.
There was no need to do that today, though.
But remember, we talked about it earlier. Mm-hmm. Josh said we checked out of some bad situations. Is that what was that what he was talking about? Because normally Josh is in at least for 6 to 8 design run plays.
Maybe he was feeling the short passing game where, listen, take the things that are given to you. Mm-hmm. Maybe he took all those things that were given to him and the plays that he was checking out of where he was going to run. He was like, listen, no. Beasley's eating. Diggs is eating. Right. Sanders is eating. Knox is doing well. I'm going to feed these guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna continue to feed these guys because these guys, I don't want to run, get hurt or whatever. And that and the third.
I remember he ran on a third. It was either a third or fourth down and picked up the first down. That's the only run, the design Josh run that I really remember. There might have been another one, but I don't really remember another one.
Yeah. So wait. I want to get this. Jessica Tennis came up. She's always roasting us, Paul, and I blame you for that. It's okay. That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay. While I find it, I know what it was. It was Okay, here we go. Which one catches the ball better? Which one blocks better? If we're speaking, we can get back to Allen, but I want to
Singletary to Moss.
Singletary to Moss. We may go back and forth on this because I'm very curious about your takes on this. Okay, who catches the ball better? Do you want to do it on 3?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who catches the ball better? 1, 2, 3. Singletary.
Oh, man, it must be really tough to be. Must be really tough to be wrong all the time, Mario.
I'm married, Paul. I'm used to being wrong. I used to be.
It might be a Thunderdome inside the hashtag chat. Go ahead in the chat. Go ahead and put who do you think catches the ball better, Moss versus Singletary?
Yes, I'm very good. The Thunderdome is going to be like.
I
just think Singletary does
right now. Yeah.
Is it because the first incompletion of the game was to Singletary?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything was catching that.
Yeah. No. No. I don't know. Like, here's the thing, right? Neither of them are Kamara, right? Like, Daniel
CMC
because catching is about a push, in my opinion. Blocking might be Moss, and I agree with that, right? I think we're kind of splitting hairs.
No, not Moss. How dare you? Blocking is Singletary. Get off of it.
Yeah, man, we are not going to agree on that. We should move on to another. Yeah, we're not going to agree.
We should because Paul likes to joke around and say I'm wrong about Moss being the better receiver, Moss being the better blocker. But if a third name was instituted into this discussion, he would think Breida is better than both of those guys in all those categories.
I will not defend something that's inaccurate. So
grain
I do
of
want
salt,
to point out,
#nation, grain of salt.
I do want to point out that watching Devin Singletary catching a football reminds me of when you have a fly in your house and you're trying to swat it with both hands. That's what Devin Singletary catching a football reminds me of when you're out there. That's what it looks like to me. That's the deal, man. That's what it looks like.
I'm very disappointed in you right now.
Oh, come on now.
Catching a fly swatter. Who's a better receiver, Devin Singletary or Zay Jones?
Get out of here with that trash. Get out of here with that hot garbage.
He won't even answer it. That's
I'm not. Get out of here with that hot garbage. Matt Manson says, I'm enjoying the two-headed attack. It's just feed the hot hand. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the way that it goes, right? I think that's kind of the way that it goes. You just feed whoever's not fumbling the football. I think, and I know that sounds weird, but the Bills running backs have put the ball on the ground a lot this season already. Today, I think was the first game where they didn't fumble. Right? Neither of them fumbled. Did either of them fumble? I don't think so.
No, neither one.
No. Neither.
Very New England Patriot-esque of you, Paul. Feed the hot hand. How many times have we seen that?
The offense today reminded me a lot of that. Like when you saw Beasley had
11
catches. Oh, come on now. Beasley had 11 catches today, right?
You're telling me that your slot wide receiver had 11 catches for less than 100 yards. Your tight end caught an acrobatic touchdown in the end zone, and one of your receivers who's aging, who's a hell of a blocker, caught a touchdown in the end zone.
Shocker.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Shocker. A couple of the routes that Beasley ran, I looked at my oldest son. I was watching the game with him, and I said, man, that looked like an Edelman route or a Wes Welker route, right? It was just, you saw the setup, right? There was a swing out to Beasley. It's just like, man, I remember playing against that and just getting so frustrated, right? Playing against those simple little dink and dunk routes. And boy, was it effective. And if you're going to put that on tape, you can let Houston see that. Who cares? Right?
Yeah.
That's fine. You let Houston see that. But a lot of what you saw today, I think, was to put the screws to Kansas City. Because everything you saw today was nothing you saw weeks 1 and 2.
No.
You didn't see any of this stuff. So I think some of this was to put the screws to Kansas City. And I'm totally fine with that. Richard Forbes says, where was Diggs? Doubled, man. Diggs won some matchups, right? He was really winning some matchups, but you just simply didn't need to depend on him. He still had 10 targets, 6 catches, but Beasley had 13. It's just, you can only throw the ball 43 times. Right? I mean, just look when you think about it, right? That means that there's 30 other targets to go around, and he completed passes to what, 8 different receivers? Like, it is what it is.
The Rams are putting a whooping on the Bucks, by the way. 31-17.
Yes.
Just to give you a little bit of an update. Michael actually came in the chat. I had it up on the chat for a little bit. He said, he goes, I want to get it. Is someone smoking crack because Singletary does not block better than Moss? I actually like Singletary in pass pro. I really do.
Why? He's got to jump to hit the guys. What are you talking about?
You don't see him coming. You know how many people he's probably knocked out with the top of his helmet underneath somebody's chin? Got him.
I'm sorry. Singletary pass blocking is when you accidentally trip over the stool in your bathroom because you thought you can make it without turning the lights on. That's Singletary's pass blocking.
Great. Right, you guys know what you did right now, right? You know what you did. I'm going to have to research on my computer now when Paul agreed with me that he likes him better in pass pro. And I'm going to have to find that episode and call Paul out on it.
That was before we had Moss. I said I was impressed that Singletary was as good in pass pro as he was. Because
no. Excuse me.
Hashtag history lesson here.
Mr. Wineski.
Okay. I'll be fine.
We were parked firmly in the driveway of your car, or in the car of your driveway. And we were talking about them drafting people in bunches. You know what I mean? They got Epineza, and then they got Rousseau, and then they got Moss and Singletary back to back. And in the same draft, they ended up getting Hodges and Davis. And I'm like, is this the pattern that they're going to get all these guys at once and back to back, this and that? So they already had these guys.
Yep.
And we talked about, I was like, I really like Singletary and pass pro. You're like, I do too, and I think he's a little bit better than Moss. Yeah. I got to find that episode.
Well, that was also 2 seasons ago, Mario. Okay.
He wasn't on the team 2 seasons ago, jerk.
How old were you when we had this conversation? 40? A long time ago now, Mar.
Hey, listen, you're knocking on 40's door, my friend.
Oh, I am. This week, actually. Thursday, 39, Thursday. 39. Buffalo Mafia News says, talk about the Boogie situation. I think this is something we should get to, but before we do that, I just want to mention Thursday mornings, I go live. So if there's anything that you guys want, I will post something on the community tab. We'll take your questions and I'll respond to all of those on Thursday. Saturday, Mario's going to do the same thing. So obviously, we'll get to that. I do want to also mention that in our bio, you're going to see a link to our Patreon. We're really switching a lot of things over from YouTube over to Patreon, just because it's we can offer more stuff through Patreon. So we're going to be making that shift, just an FYI. But I want to end with the Boogie conversation because I think it's an interesting one where, again, you see the player drafted in the second round, expecting a lot. Preseason looks great, inactive every game. Is it a wasted resource, Mar? What do you think?
No.
Yeah.
No. What did we say? I'm going to quote the infamous partner of mine. Which side is he? He's over here. Over there, I think. He doesn't need to play right away. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, when you traded for Stephon Diggs and you drafted 2 receivers, you're playing with house money.
Right.
You got Davis and Hodges in the wings. The thing about, I know a lot of people want to say, about Boogie, it's a second round pick. He needs to play this and that. He doesn't need to play right away. He just needs to learn. Right. Did people think that the Kansas City Chiefs wasted a first round pick when Mahomes sat out his entire rookie year? Did they think that Green Bay wasted a first round pick when Rodgers sat out 3 years? No, I know it's an extreme case. I understand that. It's a different position. It's the most high profile position. However, you didn't need Boogie Basham right now. However, you have 2 defensive ends. They're going to be gone more than likely at the end of this year that are 34 and 35 years old. Mm-hmm. Why not bring him into the fold? Let him learn, let him grow. I mean, if he's inactive, he's inactive. You don't need him now.
Right.
You literally traded a defensive end to Carolina. Mm-hmm. That should have been the tell for Basham. Not that he's inactive every game. The fact that you traded a guy that was already on your roster that has played defensive end for you should have been the tell for Basham. Trading Johnson to Carolina was the fact that he's good. Mm-hmm. They just don't need him. They just don't need him right now.
Yeah.
Experience will come with the kid. Listen,
So
you're going to have AJ Epineza, you're going to have Rousseau, and you're going to bash him next year at your defensive ends.
Well, I think from a type standpoint, right? Mario Addison
He's more of an inside
to Boogie
guy,
Basham. Yeah, Mario Addison to Boogie Basham is your transition, right? You might come to a point where you see Mario Addison inactive and Boogie active. If Mario gets banged up at any point, then you'll see Boogie active. But you drafted Rousseau and Basham to replace Jerry and Mario. That's what you did, right? If you look at type, that's what you did. You got a bigger, faster, stronger, younger Jerry Hughes in Groot, and you got a bigger, faster, stronger replacement to Mario Addison on the opposite side of that. And there's no reason to rush. We saw what Epineza looked like last year, and it wasn't great, right? It was a struggle for him. But look at him this year, right? There's no rush. I'm 100% with you. Basham being inactive is not a story to me, right? It's what you should expect, especially when they've invested so many resources to that position in prior free agencies, right? And in the draft.
Yes.
Like they traded Daryl Johnson because he wasn't going to make the team. Let's be honest. He wasn't going to make the team, and Boogie Basham was going to be inactive anyway. I mean,
this is a discussion for another day, but you see the cycling of positions all the time in the NFL.
Yep.
Defensive end being a very high profile position that costs a lot of money. If both of those guys get off the books, now you have rookies there. Conversely, if you talk about the running back position, which has been devalued, why spend most of your money at that position? Draft that position. Totally. So you're seeing the tale of two sides now. And I mean, for our viewers, I know you know this, but I'm saying for our viewers is the fact that, okay, why spend the most money on a devalued position? Number one. Number two, we need to recycle and get younger at this position. Let's draft it now. Get these guys in here now rather than have a rookie come in. Because Rousseau he's living his best life right now.
Yeah.
Because you got Addison and Hughes in front of you. There's no pressure for you to perform at all.
Right.
Okay. Next year might be a different story, but he's getting that experience now. And that's what I love about it.
Yep. I agree.
We forgot something, Paul.
The roast session. I know. Ryan always gets us. Buffalo.
Ryan always does it. Before we get to the roast session, 102 of you in here. If there's not 100 likes, I'm coming to every one of your houses and fighting you. No, but the point is this. Before we get to the roast session, I want to thank our sponsor, Mr. Rogers Homes. Sean Rogers, number 1% realtor, top 1% realtor in Arizona. So if you're looking at relocating, he'll help you out with that in the description of our video, as well as MyBookie.ag. If you use code HTS, you will get your first deposit will be matched up to $1,000, as well as you can find us on iTunes and Spotify. I'm going to start the clock, Paul. The other thing that I want to talk about that Paul mentioned earlier, we're gonna have morning coffee this week with Paul on Thursdays. You're gonna have morning coffee with me on Saturdays. The only thing about that is we wanted to mention as far as the Patreon goes, because obviously we love that you guys donate to the channel. We love that you guys donate to all of our charitable foundations that we do. Your dollar goes further with Patreon. That's why we're going over there. Okay, these super chats and your memberships to YouTube are fantastic. We're gonna keep the lower level, and we'll explain that. But the point is, your dollar goes further on Patreon that we can give to somebody else. That's the reason why we're doing it. So let me start the clock for 2 minutes. 2-minute warning, Paul.
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me.
Ridiculous.
It is time for the roast session. You guys are welcome to have a good time.
Here it is. Here we go.
Yeah.
Mario was that one senior dating a freshman in high school. You're not wrong.
Really?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Did I? No, I didn't date a freshman. I dated a freshman in college when I was a senior in high school.
I remember being in my 30s and I got proof for something and I felt like the greatest human on the face of the earth. Mario looking like Pippi Longstocking's alcoholic dad from Stickman.
You think that's funny? Here we go.
I don't
you
know.
Want Wendy's?
Yeah.
You want Wendy's? There's Wendy's. Here we go. Guys, I've threatened to hit Paul one time in the car. He's talking about him getting carded. I threatened to hit Paul one time in the car, and a cop came up to me and was about to call CPS. I swear to God.
Yeah, Stickman, that might be the greatest first comment I've ever read. Maybe Stickman's had burns before, but I don't remember.
Stickman's been laying in the weeds. That's phenomenal.
That's a great one.
Kevin McAllister.
There we go. Yes, I like it. Bring it, Mario.
Yes, trousers. It is.
Yeah, Trek Reviewer, bring it, Mario, and you will be looking up at Paul calling him big guy. You know what? I've put Mario through a table, guys. Let's not forget. We got these pythons right here. Oh, you can't see them because of this gigantic T-shirt Mario bought me. That's right.
Yes, the Afghan that I bought Paul.
Stephen Gordy, please join us on Thursday morning for the Paul ignores his wife and kids. They're all asleep. I dropped the oldest one off at school. Then there's like a half hour of just like gray area time. So I'll drink some coffee and talk to you guys.
Oh my God. If Dable calls one more Allen rollout run, Mario's going to throw coffee in his face at Tim. Oh my God. I'm not sure where to start. Good old Dan coming in.
I would love to bump into Brian Dable at Tops and be like, no moon pies for you. It's too many rushes. Got to protect that quarterback. It was Paul's ears that put Mario through the table, not his arms.
You guys need to know how, because the one thing we've mentioned this before on shows, you got to realize now how Paul's a big dude. Like, he's tall. Like, you guys don't realize this.
Everybody thinks I'm little.
Everyone thinks you're like really short, which is weird.
I know.
But I mean, you stand next to a redwood, that happens. Mario didn't put Paul. What? It's a moo. Daniel Garies. Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us for our post game that was sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes and MyBookie.ag. In the description of this video, you will find all of those wonderful links, as well as our merch and Patreon, where you can also find us on iTunes and Spotify. The Buffalo Bills with Victory Monday is going to be awesome tomorrow, Paul. It's going to be awesome for a lot of people tomorrow, especially those in the 716. So for Paul, I am Mario. Thank you for joining us for our post game as the Buffalo Bills beat the Washington football team 43-21. And we are freaking out of here. So peace.
Later, guys.